One of the best patches I've ever seen in EVE Online drop today, and we're going to have a real succinct view of it for you. Yes, all the key points you're going to be able to get in this video so you can get back to playing the game, huh? So if you want the best EVE guides, you came to the right place. Ladies and gentlemen, Loru here, digital advertiser, content creator, and EVE enjoyer for the better part of 10 years now. And we went through all of these patch notes on stream live. We're going to have that VOD. It's going to be featured for you. There's a ton of stuff in here. That's going to be a very long video where we actually talk about the various things. This video is meant for you to get the key points. You can get back to playing. Let's not waste another second. First, there's been a lot of big changes to Ansiblexes. The big thing to understand here is that the counterplay is the name of the game. The CCP Games devs have made it so it's easier to camp, easier to gank at the gates. They've made them smaller. They've made it so you can't jump if you're bubbled. These are big changes, y'all. These are going to affect all of nullsec. And the thinking here, it looks like, is that CCP Games wants to make it so these gates, you get my production tool, thank you. These gates are more defensive instead of offensive. A lot of these changes are going to see that kind of ethos, where it seems they're trying to put the power back into the hands of the attackers rather than the defenders. We'll see how big this pendulum change is. You can read more about that here. As always, the link will be in the description for you. No worries, no problem. We had the wrong production on, so sue me. The next thing we're going to talk about are the warp speed changes. There's been a normalization of warp speeds across the board, and typically this might mean nerfs, but it's actually been nothing but buffs. Many ships have had their warp speed increased with a more clear direction on what ships get what. You can check out the patch notes below to see all your favorite ships and which ones are going and what fast. They've made warp speed about the size of the ship instead of the class of the ship. I like this. Before, they had all these different things. It depended on what it was, whatever. The bulk of these have had their warp speed increased, so that's great. All right, Filamenting got a huge change. There is now a spool up timer when you start your filament. No longer can you just tap a button and just port to Pochfin. This completely changes the Pochfin Express, a video we put out that was the strongest way to haul inside of all of New Eden. It was very safe and honestly was very overpowered. Basically not a thing anymore. You can still do it, but the Divana filaments, this is the glorification filaments, will take a full minute to spool up. We used to be using this one, which is 2 minutes that you're on grid. And you know that since we live in Pochfin, my alliance does, there will be nothing but combat pros out looking for you and those abyssal traces. So we're going to have an updated guide of the Pochfin Express and its viability very, very soon. That alone means that it's probably not going to be things, so just be careful hauling and instead prioritize bringing a scanner with you so you can scan down wormholes when you're in Pochfin. Also, you cannot jump through if you are warp disrupted. This is the counterplay that's being added. You're going to hear me use counterplay quite a bit with this. When you activate the filament and it's spooling up, when the spool up is completed, if an interdictor warps onto you and drops a bubble, you're not going to be able to leave. You're stuck there and you got to fight the interdictor. This is again to combat how powerful these filaments are. And finally, you cannot use filaments on a dead space grid, so you can't be on like a relic site, see a Tengu coming and just blip away. Can't do it anymore. This is a good change, massive W's for CCP Games. As someone who uses the Pochfin Express, it's been too strong for too long. Thank you very much. You can see the various timings and the other notes in the link below to the patch notes. We have some nerfs to some ships. Sniper EOS got nerfed. Fair enough. It's a very strong ship. The Orca can now get to warp faster. Pretty cool. Hicks can now drop a Cyno. That's right. They can bubble and drop a Cyno. Hicks just became the inting ship, the ship that starts the fight and then some every time. That one change is going to make PvP crazy the next couple weeks. Enjoy it. Interdictors are now not as effective when webbing. This is good. It's going to add more counterplay, I think, to some of the slower, faster ships. A big change is burst jammers got nerfed a ton. They can only be fitted onto battleships, hauler hulls, and command ships. Now, we confirmed command ships does not include a porpoise and an orca, and this is one of my biggest callouts. CCP Games, they are technically industrial command ships, a separate skill book, a separate skill tree, but they're still the same role, just for miners. You took away the burst jammers from the prospects and the mining barges and the exhumers. At least let my porpoise and my orca pulse with an ECM just in case we get hopped on by a bunch of nerds. It doesn't make sense, in my opinion, for other command ships to have their burst jammers, but not the porpoise and the orca. So that's my requested change. We'll see. I'm gonna have to go redo all of my fits. You know, ECM burst jammers, some of my favorite things to put on explorers, solo prospects. We're gonna go through and fix a lot of our recent fits to make sure you have the best information, so look for those videos and sub for that. C13 wormholes had their life reduced. This is a big deal. One of the wormholers in our live chat today was saying, this basically lasts as long as the gas site lasts. So you better prep for a one-way trip and get ready to fight for your life while you're inside a shattered wormhole. I don't envy you. W, but more risk means more reward, typically in EVE Online. Pirate fobs got changed a little bit. This is going to affect faction warfare. I think this is a buff we're going to see. Maybe our Frye fleet should go after these fobs instead of just grinding those mining op ambushes. Tell me more about faction warfare in the comments. Sound off if you're a consistent faction warfare enjoyer. Is this good or bad? Now for the meat, ladies and gentlemen, and I mean a ton of quality of life stuff's coming out. We have better organized fleets. You can broadcast repair target. Max fleet sizes can be set. You can say, hey, I don't want to regroup. This is so big. You can have a tackle ship out there that won't automatically start coming back to you if you press regroup. And of course, the thing you've been waiting for, yes, the sheer size of this W, dare I say, is as big as a Rorqual. CCP Okami and team delivered on what he said he would do. He improved mining, absolute massive W's, the whole thing. There's a tier 3 mining upgrade, and let me summarize all of this for you right now. There is a new tier 3 sovereignty mining upgrade that is only for Sov Null. This is going to give even more options to Null, and what they've done is they've taken all the sites and they've made it so there's more ore on the sites and made that ore in less rocks. So before, instead of there being a bunch of little rocks, and this was like impossible to Rorqual mine with hulks, all the other stuff, now there's less rocks, but each rock is bigger, letting there be less micro, more fun for the miners. Chat, we're gonna get our rocks and style, y'all. This is a big change. It also increased tier 2 and tier 1 mining sites, making them cheaper to maintain, and there's a bunch more asteroids in them. And a small change that people might not understand is actually massive. Mining sites spawned by upgrades will persist through downtime, so you don't gotta rush if something spawns at like the very end of the day. You can relax and understand you can mine it when you come back. Thank you for that, CCP Games. We have a brand new strip miner. Yes, this one is specific to only Merc. It will let you mine Merc with no waste. Yes, this is a no residue miner. They're already going for 500 million ISK on the market, and of course they are, because we're about to print a lot of Merc if you live in Null from these large Merc deposits and then some. A big deal, y'all. Go bling your mining ships out and protect them from the gankers. These mining changes are from the recent dev blog post that they promised us a couple weeks ago. CCP Games will continue to monitor the mining situation that's been going on in EVE. It hasn't been great. Now it looks like it might be, so go give your feedback to the official EVE Discord. Make sure it's constructive, and this is a direct call to my community. If you do or don't like these changes, go voice them in a constructive way in the official EVE Online Discord. They're looking at and they're cataloging. We'll see what they come up with. The devs have said they're going to be checking in every 2 weeks to see how these changes have affected the market as a whole. And if things aren't where they want them to be, they'll tweak it as they need to go. This is great. And now for the thing that makes me the most happy. We're free. Free at last. Ladies and gentlemen, one button lets you reset your PI extractors. Now, they have to be finished. They have to be done. But y'all, this is the biggest change to PI enjoyers like myself. I have alts I have not set up PI on that I will now because it took too long. I had to go in, I had to click into my character, go to a planet, click an extractor, press submit, click an extractor, press submit, go out and do that 5 more times, then do it on another character. No, thank you. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. Now it's just a couple button clicks to get it going. You don't have an excuse anymore. Check out our PI playlist over on YouTube to get space rich. I guarantee you will by the end of that playlist. A bunch of other incredible quality of life changes also to PI, though that is the biggest one. You can really tell by these updates that the devs actually play the game. All right, we got some fun ones here. They did nerf Merc dens. They're not going to be even close to as strong, so just be aware. They have made sales tax doubled back to what it was in July. This is to combat inflation, they say. More on this later. We'll talk about that in future videos, chat. It's a big change. Capital ships, Tech 1 battleships, and T1 dreads have been reduced, baby. More fights, more cap balls, battleship roams, baby. Let's undock. Indie people, get the stuff, make the goods. Let's have a good time taking out the biggest ships in New Eden. If you want to see exactly how much, you can just go through all of this. This is literally all the new costs. It keeps going. The link will be in the description where you can see it as you need. There's also a ton of little quality of life changes that affect literally everybody. It shows your skill queue, the number of skill points. We've been asking that for decades. Drones have a little icon next to them that show what they're doing and when. You know, the like augmented mining drones, how the text was so big, you wanted to see if it was returning or mining. You had to make the drone window like this big. Now it's just a little icon you can see. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Goodness gracious. Market orders by default are going to be sorted by what is best for the players. Double clicking on your order history takes you to the market of that thing. This is so simple, but so good. It helps everybody playing the game. You can pin stations in your personal asset window. Oh, I can finally just put Jitta on top. I don't gotta scroll to it, it's right there. And of course, to end the day right, Rorquals even got back there. T-posing, you can mine in style, ladies and gentlemen. This might be the best patch ever in EVE Online, and I hope you enjoy it. If you want the best EVE news, make sure you sub right here. And if you want the full in-depth patch notes, it's a long video. Sub right here, we got the best EVE guides. We'll see you in the next video, y'all. Thanks very much.